I'm here with Joanna Page, director of CRASSH, and this is the first ever Unknowing podcast. I'm Kevin Lim, the host, and I have no idea what I'm doing and what we'll be talking about today. So let's find out. But first, as all podcasts do, we need a jingle. And Joanna, do you have ideas for our jingle?
I really like the sound that this makes. And given that we're in a woodland setting, it feels like quite eerie and suitable. Ready?
I guess for the first podcast, I guess we can almost talk about the theme of the podcast, which is just unknowing. And so unknowing is one of the themes of Leap Lab, which is a research lab at CRASSH. And I guess you can tell us what CRASSH is.
Sure. So CRASSH is a rather strange acronym, and it stands for the Center for Research in the Arts, Social Sciences and Humanities. But we don't just do arts, social sciences and humanities. We also reach out into the sciences of different kinds. And it's a research center that hosts a lot of research projects, and we run a lot of events, and we also host research labs, like the Leap Lab, which is one of our most creative and interesting labs. And unknowing is one of your major themes.
Yeah. So Leap, so lots of acronyms to go through.
Yes.
Well, we'll see if I keep this in. But anyway, so Leap Lab, living experiments in arts science practice. To reimagine sustainability. And so we're a lab that experiments with doing interesting or strange things, crossing between arts and sciences, and kind of also like playing with the boundaries of that, like what makes something art or science, like who decides what that is. So one of the areas of our interest is unknowing, and that kind of concerns the space around things or between things, I guess. Like in the university where we're based. So we're both based at the University of Cambridge. That's where CRASSH is. That's where Leap Lab is. And I guess there's a sense generally that in the university, many things are known. Mm-hmm. Like there's a body of knowledge that exists. And we know things about the world that we have quite painstakingly accumulated and tested over time. And we do research to continue to expand that. But I guess the point of research is to expand out of the known into the unknown. But it also seems like actually a lot of people are not that comfortable with it.
I would say that's accurate. In my research, I'm always really motivated by what I don't know. That is the most exciting part of my research, is the time when I arrive at a new topic and I look at something and I have no idea how to read it. I have no idea how to place it in a context. I don't know how to approach it. I don't have the right methods yet. I don't know how this is going to become a book. That point for me is the most exciting because it's the point that is most full of potential. But I think you're right that, people find different ways through a research career. And I think perhaps a more traditional way would be to set out the boundaries of a field, map out a field, and then to work within that field and to accumulate knowledge, as you say, that each bit of knowledge comes on the basis of what's gone before. I think I'm just more motivated by striking out somewhere new and just seeing where it leads you. One of the great things about being at a university, I think, is that you do have that freedom. Nobody is telling us what to research. So we can really just follow our nose and look for what is most interesting, what we're most curious about at any one moment.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I think that's kind of like an ideal of research. Like the dream is to just go into the unknown and bring back new things. But do you ever find that, for example, some things that we bring back from the unknown could be not liked, or they could scare people, or people could disagree with them? For example, whenever you challenge existing knowledge, Like, it doesn't always build in this accumulation fashion. Sometimes someone brings in a piece that just knocks down everything that was there before. And usually you're not very well liked if you're the one holding that piece.
Yeah, I guess so. I think in my field, because I work in a humanities field, sometimes it's about accumulating knowledge, but it's also about forging different perspectives on that knowledge. So sometimes it's not that I would come in with a theory that would completely cast out any theories that have come before it. It might dialogue with those theories or complement what they're doing, or just add something new. That's the idea, anyway, to the horizon. So I guess, one way of thinking about knowledge is that it has that dialectical form, that each new act of knowledge comes to modify or destroy what came before it.
Yeah.
But I think there are other ways of thinking about knowledge, like how you might create connections between different ideas that produces something new in and of itself, but it doesn't obliterate those ideas. They can all exist, in that tapestry that you're adding to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's where maybe humanities knowledge can be a little bit different from
the sciences.
Scientific knowledge. I mean, although science is also about theories and about certain consensus around theories, or science is absolutely not just about facts. But I think that there are findings that you could have in science that would disprove a thesis.
Sort of like this idea of falsification, I guess, But it's also, I think there's this quote attributed to, I think it's Niels Bohr, one of the founding fathers of quantum mechanics. And he said, the opposite of a profound truth may well be another profound truth.
Yes.
And I guess maybe that's where, say with quantum physics, people started moving into this territory where it's like, maybe the opposites coexist.
Yeah, maybe they're both true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any times in your career where you've come to something that felt like that?
I think a lot of what I look at, I think generally humanities scholars are quite familiar with that idea that there isn't one truth. There isn't even sort of versions of the same truth. One of the ideas that I've been interested in quite a lot is the idea of pluralism and the idea of multiple worlds. And actually this comes from certain ideas within biology and ecology, the idea that actually each organism or species has its own kind of world that is constructed around that. And that our worlds dictates our ability to perceive what's around us. So it's possible to think about the world as many multiple intersecting worlds. And so the idea of what is true and what is not true becomes, I guess, less important. It's more thinking about how we interact with our environment, and how other species might interact with theirs. So yeah, it's thinking about I guess that there's a political ideal behind all of this, which is, can we create a world in which many worlds can exist?
Can we all get along?
Get along, or find ways of translating between different spheres, perhaps, not in a way that reduces everything to one idea. But
so
that allows room for lots of different ideas and lots of different kind of practices. I think it's really important when we think about, because academic knowledge is a certain kind of knowledge, but there are many other kinds of knowledge. Yes. And I know this is something that, a lot of people associated with the lab are very interested in as well. And an ideal would be to find a way in which, academic research is one knowledge practice among others, and that we who are doing research in a university become more and more aware of different ways in which knowledge can be produced by different people. And I guess it's sometimes almost like less snobbish, or like sort of constructing this hierarchy. Absolutely.
Which definitely exists. Like there's a sense of academic knowledge that's
yes.
at the top.
Yeah, some kind of pure knowledge or pure scholarship.
Yeah.
Whereas, and what is to say that is more important knowledge than the kind of everyday knowledge that people have, that they generate through their paths through kind of everyday life.
Everyday life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I guess, like embodied knowledge, or perhaps whatever traditional knowledge, stories.
Yes. Yeah. Different ways of knowing the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess, ways of knowing the world. That is really interesting. So like, I guess right now, in case anyone's listening to this and not seeing the frame, we are in the middle of a little forest somewhere in Cambridge. Even we are not too sure where it is.
We got lost getting here.
We literally wandered off the
We're somewhere near the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's definitely a whole world around us, and I guess there's so many ways to know that that world. Like you can hear a bird call. You can think of that as like, well, what species of bird is it? Or what is the frequency profile of that call?
Yeah.
Or you could be like, what is the story of this bird? What is how did this bird come to be? How was the bird created?
Yeah.
As a spirit in the world or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the limits of our ability to perceive how other species perceive the world. One of the things that I do when I'm not doing my university job is I work for a marine conservation charity. And we go out on ships surveying whale and dolphin populations and giving talks about whales and dolphins and marine conservation to passengers on the ship. And there's some incredibly interesting research going on at the moment into to what extent whales and dolphins can be considered to have cultures, and may they even have languages. They don't look like our languages, but then why should they? They've evolved differently over millions of years.
Yes.
But there's some really interesting experiments being done at the moment on, can we use the power of AI to decode what whales are saying? And I find that absolutely fascinating. I don't know if we'll get there or not. And maybe if we can decode it, we may not be able to understand what they're saying, in the sense that it's not going to, they may not be expressing themselves in a way that we might be able to understand.
Exactly,
Even if we can decode sort of elements of the language. But I find that fascinating to think, at some future moment, we might actually be able to understand and communicate with another species, which is pretty incredible.
No, that's very interesting. I guess my first thought when you were saying that was, I guess it's actually pretty difficult for us to know, even if we think, well, we heard the whale call in such a way, we recorded it on our devices, and then we analyzed it. But actually, the very first step of that is that we're only listening out for things that we can hear with our ears.
Yes.
So I guess that kind of excludes all the other ways that they could be communicating.
Absolutely. And we know that there's a lot of embodied communication between whales and dolphins. And the important thing is that we can record those sounds, but we don't know anything about the context in which they're being enunciated.
Like the tone.
And so there's a big experiment going on at the moment near Dominica on a sperm whale population that's there. And they've actually, they're trying to record what's happening at the same point as they're recording these sounds. So is a mother calling to its calf? Is there a lot of food around? So what might they be saying? Because to decode it, we have to match up
the context.
Yeah, exactly, what the context. But actually, will we ever really know?
Will we ever really know
what the context is that they are speaking in? Will we ever know what's important to them? We know that dolphins have a level of emotional intelligence that probably surpasses ours, just because of their brain anatomy.
Yeah.
So they could be communicating with each other on another level that we just haven't experienced. So it's very difficult for us to imagine and to do experiments to test that hypothesis.
Yeah. I guess that's probably a good place to ask, what are the things that you think we might never know?
So many things.
I guess I say that because there is a sense among some people that, well, it's just a matter of time. Like eventually we'll figure out everything there is to know. But I kind of feel like there must be some things that are either unknowable to us or even just like intrinsically unknowable.
I'm sure that's the case. And whether we'll ever be able to know what it is like to be another person, I think is probably, I don't know, that's testing the limits of the knowable, perhaps. I mean, I can imagine some kind of technology that would effectively place me in another kind of embodied experience, but that's not quite the same thing.
Yeah.
I think there are things that are unknowable, and this comes perhaps from my experience as a Latin Americanist. I think there are things that are unknowable because whole civilizations have been wiped out, and we've lost that knowledge. Yeah. And I don't know if we will ever recuperate that knowledge. I mean, for example, communities that used to live in the Amazon, there are still some left, but there were many, many more rich cultures and civilizations, different languages that no longer exist. Yeah. You know, what was possible to express in those languages that couldn't have been expressed in another language that is now not known to us? What knowledge of plants did they have that are perhaps now extinct? Yeah. Or were used in certain practices that have been lost to us. I think there's a lot of lost knowledge. Yeah. And part of the history of science, I think, is very interesting because some of the history of science is a recovering of some of that knowledge that I think that our ancestors did have. It might have happened in a different format. Yes. But I'm just using the example of whales again. You know, we know that indigenous communities that living on coasts had very close relationships with whales, and they probably understood more about whale populations and migrations, etc., than we do now. Yeah. No, that seems very plausible. Yeah. Like, it's one thing to see an artifact from a civilization and say, well, there was probably a civilization. We don't know too much about what they did or who they were. We can try and guess some things, like history, archaeology. Yeah. But it's a whole other thing to be like, what about the possibility that there were civilizations that left no trace? Yes. Or that we haven't found those traces? Yeah. Or that we know that there was a civilization, but we have no way of knowing what they knew. Yeah. How they perceived the world. Yeah. I think in that context, like a lot of myths and legends, or what we think are myths and legends, become very interesting. Yes. For example, say like Atlantis. Yes. It's like, how do we know that it didn't exist? Yeah. Or how can we know? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are many, many myths that we think of as being entirely fictional. Yeah. That we may in the future learn had a really important truth at the heart of them, and actually turned out to be more historical than we had understood at the time. Yeah. Yeah. So since you mentioned you are a Latin Americanist, sorry. Latin Americanist. It's a bit of a mouthful. Yeah. So do you want to say kind of what that entails and also what kind of research you're doing at the moment? Yeah. And how did you get into it? Actually? How did I get into it? I think that's more interesting. Okay. As a starting point. Yeah. So, well, if I start there, it was kind of a series of accidents, like most things in life. Yeah. When I was thinking about what I wanted to study at university, I knew that I wanted to study English literature because that had been one of my favorite subjects at school, and I loved reading, I loved analyzing literature. But I also was very committed to languages. And I initially thought, because I'd been living in Japan, that I wanted to study Japanese. But there was nowhere in the UK that you can combine English literature and Japanese. I think they think that Japanese is too difficult to study with anything else. Right. So I had to choose another language, and I just chose that by chance. It was something I studied at school, I quite liked, and that was Spanish. And then as I started doing the course at university, I realized that actually the Spanish part of it rather than the English was the one I was really engaged in, and of everything that I was reading, and that it was Latin America that I was most interested in. It took me a while to figure that out. And so then the master's course that I did and the PhD was all focused on mainly Argentina. And that's really kind of how I started. And then I joined the Center of Latin American Studies at Cambridge as a postdoc researcher. And that was a fabulous place to be because it's an interdisciplinary research center. Everybody is focusing on Latin America, but from a lot of different disciplines. So politics, economics, anthropology, sociology, literature, cinema, etc.
Wow. Yeah.
And so for years and years and years, I would be going to the weekly Monday seminars and just listening to people talk about, I don't know, the political history of Guatemala or the economics of Brazil.
Yeah.
And so you get a sense of the whole Latin America, which obviously is a massive continent. You can't possibly, I'm talking about not knowing things you can't possibly know, the whole continent, but you get a sense of certain commonalities across a region, perhaps, that help you to think about the history of the place that you're studying. So that was really important to me, that kind of interdisciplinary backgrounds focused on a specific region. And then what I've been doing, I guess for quite a while, is thinking about the relationship between science and culture in Latin America, particularly science and arts.
Okay, nice.
So I'm interested in transdisciplinary projects where scientists are working with artists, or sometimes people who are scientists by day and then artists when they come home from the lab. And thinking about how they use sometimes methods from science for artistic ends.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
Different methods, but then also, so some of the works that I study look like science experiments, but they're exhibited in art galleries.
Very
and so
cool.
it's thinking about what happens, what changes when you take that experiment and create an art installation out of it. How is that still knowledge? Is it a different kind of knowledge? How does the public interact with that? Is that a way of communicating something differently?
Yeah.
Than you would in the lab, etc. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that I've been interested in. And that's taken me on a really interesting journey of trying to understand, I guess, follow the artist's footsteps into trying to understand some of their collaborations with scientists. So I've been reading a lot in biology or ecology, sometimes chemistry and physics, although those are less strong areas for me. Just trying to understand what I can really. So yeah, coming up against what I don't know is something that happens regularly to me every day.
Nice.
But I think it's really part of working in an interdisciplinary way that you're always coming up against a body of knowledge that isn't yours. And you have to think, what can I say? What can I understand and learn from this angle? And where do I actually need to just take a little bit of distance or respect the fact that there is a disciplinary knowledge there that you don't yet have. So I think I find anyway when I'm writing, I think I find it important to think about what am I sure that I can say? And where do I need to be silent actually? Because I have nothing to say there, because you would need to be more of an expert to say that. But I can say this. So I always feel like I'm sort of treading that careful line between not invading another area of knowledge. Equally, I don't think that we shouldn't go there because we have our own perspectives to bring on something.
There are things that you can see from outside of discipline.
Exactly. So there are perspectives that you can bring. What I can't comment on is, exactly how that chemical interaction, because I might not have that specific knowledge. But I can talk about how those results can be communicated, what effect they might have on wider society, all of that.
I mean, I think a lot of the most interesting things that have come out of, let's just say, the world rather than science or arts or film or anything, literature, tend to come from outsiders. It's like, I have this strange feeling sometimes, like when I think about the university, And it's like, well, you train people in something, whether it's a degree in chemistry or a degree in economics or something. And then they go on to work in these fields. Sometimes they don't. But a lot of I feel like a significant portion of the most significant works that have come out of discoveries or inventions or just ideas often were from people who weren't like sort of originally or natively from that field. I don't have sort of like a study or an evidence base to say this, but I'm just putting that out there. Yeah.
I think it's at least plausible.
Yeah.
I guess the person that's been most influential for me in terms of thinking about ways of approaching knowledge that are not the kind of standard route to expertise that we're used to in university.
Yeah.
The person who's been most influential on me is Isabel Stengers, who's a Belgian philosopher of science. And she writes fantastic books. One of them, and she talks about concepts like slow science, for example.
Oh, yes.
Is that familiar?
Another Science is Possible, a manifesto for slow science.
Exactly, yeah. So she wrote Another Science is Possible.
I've not read it, but I've heard
It's a brilliant book. And it's been really influential on me in thinking about what it is that the artists that I work on are trying to do. And I guess by extension, what it is that I'm also trying to do in my work on their work and kind of amplifying and pulling out some of the ideas that they're working with. And she has a series of figures that she talks about. And one of them, for example, is the connoisseur. Another is the diplomat. And she takes these figures to explain how it is that the important role that people have to play who don't have expert technical knowledge of an area, but they do have other kinds of knowledge that they can bring to a debate.
Yeah.
And particularly a diplomat, for example, is somebody who might have a knowledge of a number of different areas and can help to bring them together. And particularly in the context of science, she talks about how important this is because we need to involve people in the decision making about what science is pursued and how.
Yeah.
We need to involve people who aren't necessarily experts in that science at all, but might be able to give a voice to people whose lives are going to be really affected by what science is done or what technologies are developed, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So she talks about the importance of kind of slowing down and involving people in producing knowledge who are not experts.
Yes.
So, and it's something that I've been working on in some of my books, this idea of the importance of the amateur, actually.
Ah, that's nice.
The importance of, and she uses the word connoisseur as well. Somebody who
appreciates.
Appreciates or gains an understanding of something, but from the outside, a little bit like you were saying.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't make the food, but you still know a lot about it.
Exactly.
You can be a connoisseur without being a chef.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess that's the point.
A connoisseur and and I think that amateur knowledge is really important for us to cultivate. And I think actually anybody who's involved in interdisciplinary work is probably doing that all the time.
Yeah.
We're creating sort of amateur knowledges of fields around ours that we don't have specific expertise in.
Yeah.
But we learn enough that we could intervene in debates or maybe speak up for people who are going to be affected by certain courses of action, etc.
And going back to the root of like amateur, like the etymology of it, right? Like it's from the love of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amor or amore. I'm not sure exactly what it would be, but so in a way that I feel like amateurs, even though it's often has like a more negative connotation or like used in a disparaging way.
Yes.
But the fundamental attitude or approach of one who is an amateur is motivated by love.
Absolutely. And that's a much more disinterested motivation than, for example, less cynical. Calculated. If somebody doesn't stand to gain from something commercially, they don't have a vested interest in a particular technology being marketed or amplified, etc. They're not trying to build a career around it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I would rather listen to those people. And there's a huge amount of knowledge out there that is outside of universities.
Yes.
You know, independent scholars or people who are retired, but have decided to dedicate years to understanding a subject and to writing on it. And, you know, knowledge is absolutely not just the domain of the university.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you find a lot of that, especially just like in random comment sections on YouTube videos, or like on forums.
Yeah.
And it's like super long essay of a comment by someone who clearly knows exactly what they're talking about from years or decades of experience.
Yeah.
But would they be included in the conversation on experts? Like, would we know to consult them?
Well, I mean, that's the question, because unless you've got institutional backing, then it might be hard for people to find you. Yeah. And people who publish obviously can get their ideas out there a little bit more strongly.
There's definitely also a bias in I would say, the publishing industry against people without institutional backing, especially in science. Like, why not just actually look at what they're saying?
Absolutely. And I think, you know, if the university is going to be a place of knowledge, which it certainly purports to be, maybe the onus is on us, actually. To make it easier for people to join in the debates that we're having. And I mean, one way we can do that is open science. That's something I feel really strongly about. All of the knowledge that I have gained, a large part of it has been through reading. You know, you can become an expert. In any topic you want, you just need to read enough.
Well, and also maybe do play, like different ways of
play. And obviously some disciplines there's a practical or experimental aspect to that as well, but certainly in terms of the theory and hypotheses, etc. So we absolutely have to make it easy for people outside of the university to access research, and it's not always easy. A lot of it is behind a paywall, and I think it's something that is incredibly important. We're not just producing knowledge for ourselves. We're producing knowledge for people outside of the university, and we're inviting them to take part in that knowledge production. They have to be able to read what we write. So that's something that is very important to me, that I publish open access. So that people can read it, and I'm encouraging a lot of people to do the same. But maybe even the way that we curate events, the way that we put together research labs, you know, constantly thinking about how can we involve actually members of the public who might be really interested in what, and have something important very definitely to contribute, either from life experience or from scholarship.
I feel like that is a good point for me to check the time on the recording and see where we're at. Well, it's 37 minutes.
Wow.
So, how shall we close this? Haven't thought that far.
I know, we could invite... Is this going to end up on YouTube?
Yeah.
So we could invite people to add to the comments.
Yeah. Like, share, and subscribe.
We could say if you're interested in anything that we have said.
Join the conversation.
Join in the conversation in the comments. Let us know what you think. Bring your experience to this. You know, are there in your work or your research or your life practice, whatever it is you're involved in doing? I should be looking at the camera at this point.
No, that's okay.
Let us know what's been influential on you. Are there ideas that have kind of summed up for you that practice of walking between disciplines, exploring new areas,
and like sort of
what concepts have helped you think about what it is that you're doing?
Yeah, and I'll also add to that that the practice of like intentionally engaging with things that you don't know is really valuable, and like I think I'm trying to remember, you said something earlier about like almost where you feel that you've come up against this wall of almost like the wall of unknowing, let's just say that, where you are working with other disciplines and you can understand about this much, but then you're like, okay, that level is like deeper technical knowledge, and I don't know if I'm qualified to say enough about that, or I don't know even enough to start thinking about that. But I think that that's a really good sign. Like, the more you're encountering that feeling, the more you're actually growing, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that's the growing edge of
completely.
knowledge.
Completely. And I think when you get to that point, you've got two choices. You either have to read more to understand more yourself, or you have to find somebody to collaborate with
talk to
who
people.
does have that knowledge.
Yeah.
Talking to people is always really, really useful.
Yeah. Okay, so on that note, we shall close the first ever Unknowing podcast and hope that the audio recorded well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Okay. For syncing purposes.
Yes.
Right. Let's stop that. Okay, that was good.
And then just a bit of kind of,
Yeah.
like goblins in the distance. That
goblins
sort of thing.
in the
how I
distance.
that's how
Okay.
I do it.
When you're ready.
Oh, I do my bit now.